Buying boring businesses is one of the most straightforward ways to become financially independent in the next 5 years. And it's only going to become easier to start, simply because the number of boomers wanting to sell their businesses is growing day by day. And I know because I currently own these boring businesses that make me over $75K a month. So today, I want to discuss the 7 levels of boring businesses you should buy, ranging from the easiest with virtually no capital at all to a level 7, where you'll find people like me who can invest hundreds of thousands to make millions back. Now we're going to be starting off with vending machines and newsletters. Now, you guys have probably seen previous videos where I talk about vending machines, but one of the reasons why vending machines are such a great starter business is because the cost to get started is so low. You can go out right now and buy a new vending machine for a few $1,000s. There's different models that have different widgets and different sexy features, but you can get a new one for a few grand, all the way up to about $5,000 to get the top of the line vending machine. You can also get a used one. And a used one that could be hundreds of dollars up to $1,000 to $2,000. So you don't need a huge amount of capital to get started. And the great thing about vending machines is that once you put it in a high traffic location, you're going to see results very quickly. So if we're rounding out the strategy for vending machines, it's go and buy a used one if we want to make sure we're preserving our capital. Go and secure the location. So go down, and this is what I did. I actually did this test. I did this about 3 years ago. A buddy of mine's really heavy into vending machines, and I was like, well, let me test this out. And I did it myself. So I went down, I live in Florida, and so there's a bunch of resorts where I live, went down to one of those resorts, walked into the lobby, there was no vending machine. And I said, hey, would you guys be interested in having a vending machine here? And they said, hey, we got flooded in the storm 6 months ago. We lost all the vending machines we had, and we haven't got around to it. But would you provide the machine? I was like, yeah, I'll provide the machine and I'll put it here and I will pay you a percentage of the profits. And I think I offered like 5 or 7%. They ended up coming back at 10%, and which I said fine too. It was my first one. I just wanted to see if the idea worked. And so then I got the vending machine. I got a new one, and I came and the delivery service installed it right inside the lobby and plugged it in. Filled it up with drinks, filled it up with candy bars and everything else that people like to have when they're on vacation. And day one, it got set up to where they can use their card as well and have an app. So I could see that day, oh, I made $100 today from people buying Frito chips and Diet Coke. That's cool. And it was actually so good in the sense of where the inventory would be wiped out within a couple of days. I had to end up driving 20 minutes once a week at least to go fill up the machine, and I would have to buy stuff in bulk. Eventually, I just sold it because I just didn't have the time to grow the vending machine empire. But it worked, and I actually still, hold on one second. I actually still, just to show the proof is in the pudding here, I still have a bag of dollar bills. And this was one of 3 or 4 when I finally got rid of the machine and sold it. I took all the money out and just stacks and stacks every single week of these dollar bills, $5 bills. It was working out to hundreds of dollars in profit per week. And so this is a very viable business, especially for those in level 1. The next we're going to talk about is newsletters. Newsletters is one of those sleeper businesses where I talk about it a lot, but I see no one really doing this. Newsletters are an amazing way to get started in business acquisitions. You can go on lettertrader.com, okay, lettertrader.com, and you can go and see a bunch of newsletters for sale, all the way from, $500 all the way to $5 million. Most of them are going to be $10,000, $15,000, $5,000. So you can buy these newsletters for pretty cheap as a business, and they're generating revenue. A lot of these are generating revenue through ads. Sometimes they're doing it through sponsorships, and sometimes they have digital products. Now, these are awesome because you can buy an audience and then just continue doing what the previous seller was doing, or double up on it. Instead of just doing sponsorships, start doing a digital product. Or if they're just doing a digital product, start doing sponsorships. And you can grow the revenue fairly simply. I'm not going to say anything in life is easy, but very simply, you can grow the revenue and actually pretty easily grow your subscriber base. Start doing $50 a day on Facebook ads to get subscribers. You can grow that newsletter list, grow the revenue, and then you can flip it a year later for 2, 3, 4x what you bought it. Very, very simple to do. I'm not going to say easy, even though I'm tempted. Very simple to do, especially compared to other business models. And I'm actually going to do a video series later this year showing you exactly how to, from buying one, monetizing it, and selling, so you guys can see how this all works. Okay, so we're going to have more to come on that. Now, level 2. We're going to talk about micro SaaS and Amazon KDP. So micro SaaS, or think about apps, so iOS apps, things like that. Now, I think this is level 2 just because you can still buy these for a few $1,000s. Okay, so this is still relatively cheap. Obviously, you could buy a SaaS or an app for millions of dollars, but there's a lot on the market right now for under sub $10,000. And so these are great because again, they've built an audience. A lot of times these already have subscribers and you can scale these in a very straightforward manner. A lot of times these apps are built by developers who love to develop apps. They want to get some level of traction and then they just offload it. Okay. So they build it from scratch. They put in 3 to 6 months worth of work. They grab a couple hundred subscribers and then they sell it, and they sell it for maybe $5,000, right? So it's a really good return for them because they only spent a couple $100 to build it, but you take it at 5, you put more work into it, and a year or two later, you sell it for 15 to 20,000, right? And so again, I'm actually in the process right now of buying an app. It's a larger app. It's not necessarily a $5,000 one. It's now we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm going to do a video specifically on the app that I'm buying and what I'm going to be doing with it. But this is a very viable business model. And I think put it in the level 2 of where you're going to start looking at it. Next is KDP, Amazon KDP. So this is Kindle. This is an awesome business model. You can go on places like empireflippers.com right now, or my favorite, you can go on smbmarket.com and you can check out some of these for sale, but you can go and see that people are going out there, they're coming up with an idea. They are going out and getting a writer off of Fiverr, having them write the script, going to a designer to design the cover. This is all digital, so there's not a physical product. Putting the book together, putting it on Amazon, running ads to it, and getting sales. And you could buy a portfolio of these books for $20,000, $30, $50, all up to a couple $1 million. And this is a very passive business. Once the ads are set up, once you have the books out there already making money, you continue the process of putting more books out there and you grow that portfolio over time. And you continue to increase the revenue and increase profits. Level 3 now is where we're starting to get a little bit more serious. So now we're going to be jumping into home service businesses. Now, this is in the $500,000 to $1 million range in terms of purchase price. So this is where we're now going to start getting into businesses where you're probably taking out a loan to buy it. Most of the people that are at that $500,000 to $1 million range purchase price, they're not using all of their own money to purchase it. They're using a bank as well as sometimes investors and doing a mix of seller financing. And so this is now traditionally what I've talked about, this type of acquisition. So I put it at level 3 because it's harder because now you have to bring more people in general to get this deal done. You're bringing in the bank, the lenders, you're talking to brokers, you're talking to the seller, you're talking to potential investors. And so it's more complicated because there's more hands in the cookie jar to get this deal done. So while every acquisition has the same components, when you start to get larger and you're involving a lender into the equation, the process becomes so much more heavy. There's so much more paperwork, so much more things you're going to have to sign, and you have to get everybody on board with you buying it, right? So you have to build rapport with the seller, build rapport with the lender, and it's definitely a harder journey. Now, some of those home service businesses that we like to focus on, and you probably see us talk about here, in this range, you could be looking at pest control companies, you could be looking at pool service companies, you could be looking at accounting firms, especially if you have a more of accounting firm background, because at this size, it's going to be a little harder to find one where there's enough accountants on staff to take over once the owner sells. So I would stick with more of the pest control. I'll stick more with even some landscaping companies and pool routes. Those are the ones that come to mind when looking at level 3. Okay, so now if you want to learn how to start your own journey in acquiring boring businesses without breaking the bank, scan the QR code that you see on the screen right now, or click the top link in the description down below, and I'll give you all the necessary tools that you need to succeed. Okay, so now we're talking about level 4. Level 4 is, again, home service businesses, but now we're talking about purchase prices between 1 and 2 million. So now we're getting a little larger. Now we're looking at the type of deals where most of my students are going after, because when you're talking about this size of deal, they are typically going to have a general manager in place doing a lot of the day-to-day management. Now, the owner might still be involved, but they're not going to be involved at the level that they are with the $500,000 to $1 million purchase price business typically. Remember, every deal is different. So in this area, we're now going to be looking specifically in these types of business. So accounting firms, as you guys know from a lot of my videos, I like accounting firms. So they're going to be up there when we're looking at this type of range. Also, other professional service firms. You have wealth management, have insurance agencies. Those are starting to become more attractive at this level of purchase price. Also, now I like to start looking at landscaping deals, right? So landscaping, once you get past that 1 million mark, they've really got a nice size. A lot of times they have commercial contracts. Those are the ones I'm going to start looking at, as well as cleaning companies. Cleaning companies in this range, there's a lot that are available on the market in different niches. I would stick to commercial cleaning that have contracts with their customers. And then after that, I would go to residential before going into short-term rental cleaning markets, because they get affected by swings in the markets more dramatically than if you focus more on commercial and on residential. All right, so for level 5, now we're talking about professional services. I mentioned in level 4, accounting firms, and then wealth management, and then insurance. Now, you can get those at those levels. When you get to the 2 to 3 million, so level 5 is 2 to 3 million purchase price. When you start getting to that level, professional services become even more valuable because they're still at a size where They're not going to be gobbled up by private equity firms. They're still too small for them, but they're starting to get really nice SDEs. We're talking, over 500,000, closer to $1 million in their cash flow. So SDE, seller discretionary earnings, cash flow, those are synonymous. Okay, so when we're talking about 2 to 3 million in purchase price, we're talking now 5 to 100,000 to $1 million a year in cash flow. So these start to become really cash heavy businesses, which is great because then you have enough cash flow. If they don't have a GM in place, you have plenty of cash flow to then either raise one up from a current member of their team or to bring one in from the outside. So professional services, wealth management, insurance agencies, accounting firms, which is kind of my sweet spot that I like to focus on. And there are other ones in the professional service industries that have branches and offshoots of that. But that's where you start to get into where these become really viable businesses because you're getting them at a discount to where they would be if they were making another $1 million in revenue. All right, so now we are at level 6. Okay, so level 6 is where we start getting to $3 to $5 million purchase price range. Now we're going to start to focus on asset heavy manufacturing businesses. Now, asset-heavy manufacturing businesses underneath this, typically the cash flow is not there because the business is selling for a pretty high purchase price because they have so much assets. So their assets are part of the value. They might have real estate because they own a warehouse where all the operations are occurring. But their cash flow might be only a couple $100,000 a year. So they might be selling for a couple million, but their cash flow is lower relative to some of the other industries that we're talking about. But when we get to $3 to $5 million in purchase price, now you are looking at a business that actually has over the $500,000 mark in cash flow, probably north of that, and they have the assets that are coming along with it. Now, one of the reasons why I like asset-heavy manufacturing businesses is you have huge tax savings a lot of times with the depreciation that you get from those heavy assets. Also, the bank loves these types of businesses because there's so much collateral. When you are buying a business that has a huge amount of assets, well, if anything, God forbid, went wrong, the bank has all those assets to cover a portion of the loan that they gave you. Okay, so they like when things are collateralized, especially if there's real estate that comes along with that business. So asset heavy manufacturing, we're going to be doing more about this in the coming year. I have a couple students that have really taken off in this particular niche, especially when it comes to steel manufacturing. And with everything that's going on right now in the current administration, trying to bring everything back on shore, especially with manufacturing, especially with steel, which has a very historic tie to the United States and a lot of nostalgia in it. There's a big revival going on in the industry and there's a lot of incentives being pushed to grow those companies. And so this is definitely something when you're at that level 6, this is something to start looking at. All right, and last but not least, level 7, okay? So level 7 is not just a purchase price, which I'm going to say is between 1 and 3 million. And you might say, Ben, you just talked about 3 to 5 million. Yes, but there's another thing here in level 7. Typically, we're going to be looking at $1 to $3 million businesses, but the goal here is not to buy one. The goal here is to buy a lot of them. This is the roll-up strategy. Okay, so for the roll-up strategy, and I'll talk about the one we're doing right now in the accounting firm industry. In this past year, we've done 3 acquisitions in the past year. We had some previous acquisitions that we married into the entity that we have. So we have about 6 different firms inside of the new entity. The goal is to get this to $10 million in EBITDA. Now, why is that a big goal? Once you get to the 10 million EBITDA mark, EBITDA, again, it's different than cash flow, but for the term of explaining this, I'm just going to say cash flow. It's different though. So when you get to 10 million in EBITDA, you're now looking at about a 10x in terms of value. So we can go out there and buy a bunch of $1 to $3 million firms over the course of a few years. We then spend another couple years in packaging them in together from, let's call it 20 separate firms down to one firm. And that takes time. It's hard to do. And this is why it's level 7. This is not just buy a bunch of businesses, put a new name, they're all together now, sell for a high multiple. You got to go out there and buy a bunch of businesses. You have to have leadership in place that's constantly managing those businesses because a lot of times you're buying it and the way we structure it, the owner has to stay on for a couple of years. So we have a couple year clock that's ticking that we have to not only buy in bulk every year. We're going out there and acquiring as many businesses as possible. And then we have to integrate them. And if you think it's easy to integrate 20 accounting firms into one firm, think again, it's hard. It's not just being really good on the buy. Now you got to be really good on the management, really good on the systems, really good in building one cohesive brand. To get that 10x EBITDA, you need to prove that this is a viable one company that now is doing over 10 million in EBITDA and someone's going to buy it and they're going to continue to build that brand that you've built. So this is when you get to level 7. This is not for someone just starting, jumping in to try to do a roll-up strategy. Start with one, manage it, see how it works, take yourself out of the business, do it again, maybe do it again. And then once you've done it a few times, you'll start to understand exactly what's going to take to start to execute on a roll-up strategy. And when you do a roll-up strategy correctly, you can exit for life-changing money. We're not just talking for a couple $1 million, but tens of millions of dollars, which is the goal. Okay, so level 7 is what we all aspire to get to, and I'm in the midst of trying to execute on that vision right now. Now, all these boring businesses have the potential to buy you back your time, give you passive income, and grow your wealth faster than ever before. But I can hear you thinking this right now. How risky is it to acquire a business, especially if you don't have a lot of money to begin with? I explain exactly how risky it is in this video right here on the screen. I hope you enjoyed the video today, guys. I'm putting out a bunch more content, more to come. Talk to you soon.